Welcome to the 2022 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this February 15th, 2022 Tuesday edition. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Preach to me for the latest financial news for this world and beyond. This week and beyond, I should say, rather. Today we're going to be talking about inflation. And as I predicted last year, that inflation will top 8%, 10%. Real inflation is up at 15%, as we know, according to shadowstats.com. And it is going to continue. That mean that a dollar bill is going to continue to be devalued and debased as the Federal Reserve has decided to let this economy run hot and inflation run hot. And so this is going to mean a very, very hard thing, as we just figured out here today. We're going to get right into the news here. That the inflation surges past 7.5%. It's higher than that. But as you can see here, inflation surges to 7.5% on an annual basis, even more than expected. This is the highest since 1982, 40 years ago. So the consumer price index for all the items rose 0.6% in January, and this drove up inflation to the biggest gain since February 1982. Core inflation rose to 6%. We know real inflation is up to 15% right now. And just look at the price of everything. Food, $100 of groceries used to mean a lot. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, not a lot, but it used to be a pretty substantial amount. Now, $150 in groceries, it's barely cutting it. And this is at the stores that we normally would go to, like a Walmart, Sam's, a Costco, Save a Lot, Ralph's, Kroger's, you name it. Everywhere has gone up. Even the dollar stores has gone up in their prices. Things are starting to become expensive. Now, the weekly jobless claims, just some good news. It declined to 222,000 this week. That's below the 230,000 estimate. But gold has been rising a little bit, as you know. Oil and gold have been rising. There's two things that you should look out for. Oil was above $95 a barrel. I predict it's going to top $105 a barrel by the end of March, and that's when the Federal Reserve is going to meet to talk about raising these rates. Stocks were up a bit today. The consumer price index changed from a year ago. Things are really getting dicey here. Right now it's at 7.5%, the CPI, but the CPI, as you know, doesn't include food and energy costs. Energy costs, the cost to heat your home, the cost of bread and milk and eggs and meat and all kind of things, groceries and energy and supplies and gas. Gas is continuing to surge. I mean, there used to be a bargain for places like North Dakota. You would go to the Midwest or you would go to the South in some place in Alabama, Mississippi, or Florida and get gas for, like, back in the day, for like $1.99 or $1.80. This is like 25 years ago, but you would get bargains. Now you can use your gas app on your phone, and there's nowhere to be found. The average price of gas, according to AAA, is $3.49, $3.50 a gallon. That's for unleaded. Now, some people are paying much more, as you know, in California. You're topping four 10, 4.15 a gallon for unleaded. $5 if you're talking diesel or some kind of super unleaded premium high test gas. So things are definitely, look at this, food, shelter costs up sharply. So guys, what we're heading into is a hyperinflation situation, but this is going to be different because remember how I told you that there's going to be a massive deflation. That is coming, but this is going to be a slow bleed hyperinflation for the next 2-3 years. Okay. Then after that, then we'll start getting into the deflationary pressures, at least in the Western world. So this is what we're looking at. So, but fuel costs are rising, food is up, shelter's up. Tell us something that we don't know. This is according to CNBC. But and one of the reasons why is because of money printing. President Biden, and not just him, his predecessor before him, Trump, and others, Obama, the last 3 or 4 presidents have ran up the national debt. We're above $30 trillion in national debt. And Biden just signed this $1 trillion bipartisan now infrastructure bill in the law. Okay, that's all great. We did that back in the Depression. We had the New Deal and all of that. The problem is that every country is in debt now. And so you know what that means. Massive debt. The United States leading the way. That means that war is on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. So I tell young people, if you're looking for a career, try to get into careers that are depression proof, healthcare, sanitary careers, like, things to deal with, things that people are going to need to get rid of, old trash, things that people are going to, have to use, how to make things, trades, plumbing, carpentry, electrician. Those are going to be very in need, for people building these tiny houses and alternative shelters now. People are in this sustainability. That's crucial that you tell your kids, your young people to get into those careers. Even computers with robotics, if you know how to programming, coding, they're gonna need people to write scripts. Even if in the liberal arts, they're gonna need people to write scripts for these robots to sound more human-like and to deal more human-like. So get into those careers if you're 18 or younger, or 25 and younger, or even 30 and younger. Get into those careers right now because this infrastructure bill is gonna entail a lot of that. But unfortunately, the more money we print, the more we dig ourselves into this hole, and that's why I was telling you guys it's gonna take this depression is gonna take about 15 years to get out of, and not the standard years that we had, the 10 years of depression in 1929. This is totally different. This is a worldwide depression, so there's nowhere to run for Americans. Main Street is gonna feel it. Wall Street is feeling here, according to the Small Business Playbook with CNBC. And so, because small businesses are gonna be choked out, and they're being choked out by this new economy. Small businesses are being choked out by inflation. By they can't hire enough workers because the minimum wage has been risen, and that also increases the payroll taxes and all kind of things they got to deal with. And the only companies that are allowed to thrive are, you know who, the big companies: Walmart, Amazon, Microsoft. The big guys. Okay, I won't go too much into that, but just telling you that this what makes this depression and recession so much different than the last ones, because the little guys, the small companies, the small businesses that we go to, the variety is being squeezed out in America, and we're being faced with rising costs of supplies by small businesses and other things. And this is going to really kill off Main Street. And so we need to hunker down for the next 2 to 3 years, possibly 4 years. All of Biden's term guaranteed is going to be pretty rough waters. We're going to see prices continue to rise. We're not going to get out of this overnight, and the next president, whoever that is, comes in, the same thing. It's going to be a nightmare. So we're not going to get out of this until 2030, 2029, 2030, folks. And so I just want to encourage you to continue to stack supplies, continue to garden your skills, teach yourself how to garden. Self-sustainability is the key. Teach yourself how to make fresh water. Teach yourself how to make clothes last. I don't buy new clothes anymore. I buy stuff off of Amazon for cheap clothes, or I get my clothes, refurbished or whatever, washed again, or laundered or whatever, to save money. You can do the same. Many of you guys have already done the same. I've heard many people in the comments doing that, because we have to find ways to cut back, because the Western world is going to feel it first. Okay, we're going to feel the pinch of coins, the pinch first. And then afterwards, the Eastern world, they're already prepared for this, because they have more population than us. In India and China, with their 2-3 billion people combined, Africa with their billion people combined on their continent, they're used to living to a lower standard. But we as Americans are not going to be used to living to this lower standard. It's not going to be third world crazy, but it is going to be something close to that. Okay, guys, and we all know that's coming. Because of the hyperinflation and situations like that. But we're going to be prepared. God is on our side. We're blessed. We have, we still have food, shelter, water, and the basic necessities of life that Maslow needs, a hierarchy of needs, or whatever we want to call it, that they teach us in school. So we are blessed. We're thankful. But just be prepared, because hard times are coming, and they're here to stay, no matter how much money they print, because hyperinflation is here to stay for the next few years. Be blessed, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I haven't made anything in a long time. I was in the process of transitioning my studio, but I'm ready to go. So thank you for joining me. I'll talk to you very soon. Have a blessed night.